and welcome to Contralateral practice. This one is specifically on the pendulum slings, we call them. So the way in which we cross the body's core lines from the anterior, the front of our body, to the back of our body, the posterior. We see this in crawling, walking, running, climbing, fighting, swimming. Any of these things have the ways in which we contralaterally. It's all human movement. But what happens through our sagittal lines, our pathways of linear life, we forget and we start to move non-contralaterally. So this is a way to bring in the brain maps and the body maps to enhance that practice again. So we'll start kneeling and bring this awareness into the brain and body as well. From kneeling, bring your right leg up, take your left arm up and create spinal extension, shoulder flexion. Now cross the midline, flex your spine and reach down towards the floor. So you have spinal flexion. Come back up, just focus on your spine, spinal extension and spinal flexion. Of course, you're working your shoulder and your hips as well, but just map that here. Now, when I go into spinal extension, I'm getting front body extension, but back body is contracting. So expansion and contraction. Now when I cross the midline, my back body gets expansion, my front body gets contraction. So I know that's a lot to think about. So feel it a few times. And add on now, when you come into expansion, open your right leg towards the right and balance, bring yourself back towards the midline. Do 3 or 4 of those, expansion and contraction. And feel the way in which those expansion and contraction forces change from the front of your body to the back of your body. Breathe natural, breathe normal. Just make sure you do breathe. Come back to neutral and switch sides. Left leg comes up. Start with expansion, spinal extension, back body contraction. Cross the midline, back body expansion, spinal flexion, front body contraction. Do that a few times, really working for your full range. So when you come up, press through your left leg and find the full range. When you dive down, reach towards the floor, let your head drop. Working to find the full range of your pendulum, or sometimes we even say oblique slings. Now the next time you expand up, find your balance. You can even use your left hand to support you. Expand, contract, and expand. Now if we reverse this, I also expand back body and contract back body. Expand back body and contract back body. Now I contract front body and expand front body. So crossing the midline, feeling those ranges, as well as trying to have your brain follow all of the terminology that I'm using. But we need to know these terms because they refer to our awareness, and you hear a lot of them in class or through movement. We don't know what anybody's talking about. So we want to get it in our brain and our body. Come to neutral, hands down, sit back, shake out your legs. Now to stand up, bring your hands, I'm going to turn sideways so you guys can see this. Bring your hands back to your knees. Do the same thing here where you flex your spine. Round your spine first, push off the floor, and stand up. So in human development, before we ambulate or before we walk, we actually crawl and then stand. So even to come down to the ground, there's a bit of that crawling pattern. Walk your hands back, round your spine, breathe in, and with your exhale, stand all the way up. And again, hips back, bend your knees, do what we call a lap lay. Walk your hands forward, so you crawl forward, slowly lower your knees, and this time bring your seat back to your heels and just take a few movements here. You could also crawl back and forth, however much space you have on the ground that you're experiencing. Know that that's the pause for free movement. Walk your hands back. Now, if I tried to stand up in extension, I wouldn't go anywhere. And we never see young beings, young people, stand up from this position. It's actually hands back, then you get your weight back, and once your weight's back, you can actually stand up. Try that a couple more times. Slowing your descent. Find some natural spinal movement. Hands down, flex your spine, shift your weight, and stand up. Last time, hips back, do a lap leg, a crawl, free movement, natural breathing. And this time when you go to stand, bring your danda with you and stand all the way up. Okay. So for the pendulum slings here, we're going to take a basic pendulum. So you want to have opposite danda to leg, just so that you have that cross-body balance. Stand on your right leg and take your left leg back. Place the danda in your left hand, take your right arm up. So similar to kneeling that you were just doing. Lift your left leg up, cross your body, round your spine, flex. Re-expand. And now this time when you come up, really reach from inside your core lines, where you feel that your core, your obliques, everything starts in your center. So you're not just reaching from your limbs, but you're reaching from your inner body. Now cross your midline again, contract, breathe into the back space of your body. One more time like that, expand and contract. Breathe into your back. Stand down, switch sides. Press through the danda, so it's not just here as a regression, but the more you actually push down, the more core referral you'll get. One of the problems is when we're working with these slings, if we just relax our core lines, then we're actually hypermobilizing our joints. So the more you press down, the more stable you are. You can actually find that intrinsic space. Flexion and extension. So the truth is, the more strength you use, the more range you can find. Usable range, usable strength. Keep breathing naturally. Feel your back body contract, your front body expand. The back of your body expand, and the front of your body contract. A couple more times there. And step down. Now I'm going to turn around, go to the first side again. So I'm going to stand on my right leg. And now we'll add the cross body in the back of our body. Stand on your right leg, take your left leg out and your right arm up. Reach out into expansion, cross your core lines. And now when you come into expansion, bend your back knee, reach behind, and contract the back of your body. Reach back up, cross the midline, and round. Extend, bend your back knee, contract. Expand, cross the midline, and expand the back of your body. So now map your awareness to the back of your body more than the front of your body as you create this sequence. What happens is we consider just core work being in the front, but it's actually in the back just as much. Twice more. Contract, expand, and contract. Stand down. Do the second side. Stand on your left leg, reach up, reach behind, shorten so you contract those forces, re-expand, cross the midline, and expand. Practice moving your brain awareness, your insight, into the back of yourself. Most often in our lives, everything is forward, everything is to the front, everything is future, everything is ahead. So keep remembering and practicing that you have an entire self back here. Twice more. Touch, contract, reach, and expand. Last one. Reach, touch, contract, expand, cross, and stand down. That's hard. It's a lot of work to do for our bodies, especially because we just don't use that strength as much, especially standing. And what happens is we start to actually fall forward as we age. So we want to have those areas in which we still stay mobile. Okay, now come down to hands and knees. Sit back on your heels. Close your eyes. And just take a few breaths just to settle, to feel these lines across the front, those cross lines among your back, through the center of your body, wrapping through the sides of your body. And the more stable and strong our trunk is, the more able we are to move our arms and to move our legs. So now, come to your belly for proning. And this is one of the foundational shapes. And once you lay down on your belly, take your arms and your legs wide. Press down through your arms and your legs, rise up. Feel your back contract like you just did standing, your glutes, your core, everything, and relax down. Breathe. And again, exhale, rise, stabilize, relax, and breathe. One more time, pull up, stabilize, contract, relax, and breathe. Now come up to neutral. Bend your right knee. Take your left arm behind you and tap. Just like you did standing, contract the back of your body, re-expand, and relax. Lift, tap, contract, reach, and relax. Do that 5 more times. Don't forget to contract on your lift. After 5, rest and shake it out. Okay, second side. Widen your legs, bend your left knee, reach your right arm back, tap, contract, and lift. Re-expand with the contraction, lower down and rest. Lift, bend, tap, and contract. I'm not pulling my foot against my hand. I'm actually just making that connection so that I'm using my muscular structure for the contraction. Re-expand and lower. Do that 5 more times on your own. Just tap and use your own inner strength. Breathing fully. So much of our postural problems and our pain comes from the back of our body being so unused, uncharted. When you're finished with that, rest. And then press up to all fours, hands and knees. Move through some cat-cow or undulating waves. Make it feel natural and aqueous. And now we'll go back to front body, cross body. So for this one, figure out my space here. Move the danda. Come onto your back. Into constructive rest position. Take your left leg out and your right arm out. From this position, just like you did standing, imagine you were standing with your pendulum. Reach out through your arms and through your legs from your inner core, expand. Now bring your left leg and your right hand to touch. Push your hand to your leg to your hand, and contract the fibers across the midline, those oblique fibers. Re-expand, inhale. Exhale, contract. And now exhale with expansion and inhale with contraction. So I say this often, I don't want you to get stuck in one pathway of breathing. You want to be able to breathe in expansion or contraction. Now let your right knee open out to the side. come back in and contract. From half starfish, you have now a progression to do a bridge lift. From your expansion, contract in, push through your right foot, and lift up into a bridge position. Slowly lower down, low back, mid back, and expand. Contract, lower down segmentally through your spine, and re-expand. Twice more. One more progression is to stay up while you expand. That's a bit more challenging, and come on down. Last one, you choose your progression or your regression, and lower down. Feel the warmth in your legs. And so much of this is not just for our body awareness, but as for our brain awareness. When we cross the midline, it enhances our brain motion as well. Like when babies or kids don't learn to crawl, they have neurological shifts from that. So it's a very important part of our development. Start with your right leg out and your left arm out. Come through the midline, left hand to right leg, push down and contract. Re-expand, inhale, exhale, contract. Re-expand, you can try your exhale here and your inhale here. Continue like that, or again, your option is to add your bridge lift. Lower down segmentally. The tendency is to come up into your bridge lift and then just fall. So you want to use your leg strength, your glute strength, your back strength that you just built to lower down. Keep going, and another option is to open through your left knee. And last progression here is to stay lifted while you expand. Watch that your hips or your pelvis don't dip. You can also use your hand to give you feedback there. Last couple. Okay. Come to neutral, roll over to one side, and go ahead and sit up. Now you can play with some crawling motions. First of all, just crawl around on your space. One of the trends or the fads is to crawl with a block on our back and not let anything move. And I think one reason for that is because it's teaching the core stabilization. But if we want to mimic natural human movement, when we watch children crawl, there's actually quite a bit of flexion and extension and hip motion. So if I was on the floor with my son playing Legos, or I was gardening and I was moving around, I wouldn't actually have to be so rigid in that, right? So we want to know what we're training for and what's appropriate. Right now, I want you to actually just practice moving naturally and not so rigid. Let your spine expand and contract, and also feel how when you bring a hand and a knee forward, that's your contralateral action. That's your flexion. As you come forward, there's a natural extension. As you go back, there's a natural flexion. You can sit back towards a half primal squat, crawl forward, crawl to the side. You could also bring your knees up and practice it that way for a little more strength training. But again, you don't have to be stuck holding your spine rigid. Let yourself be more free, coming in and out of some of these shapes. Come to stand and all the way up. Now we'll practice squat climbers, bringing the pendulum actions that we worked earlier without the danda. Take a wide stance, toes out, heels in, squat down, stand into your right leg and reach up. Cross your midline, bend your knee, flex down. Reach back up, tap behind, re-expand, and squat down. Reach up, and come into your squat. Launch to the other side, reach up, cross your midline, re-expand, tap behind your back, re-expand, and squat down. So your squat climber has all these different pathways of movement through feeling everything that you've worked so far. When you squat down, find different ranges of your squat. So often we don't want to move because we feel like we're going to move wrong, or maybe our transitions aren't going to look perfect or pretty or exactly the same every time, which starts to stop us from moving. But alignment is more than just fixing your bones or your muscles in a perfect position. It's aligning yourself with your intention. So for you, you want to ask yourself, why are you moving? What are you training for? What do you intend to receive out of your movement practice? So as you can see, I'm not keeping the same pathways of movement. You can even come down and add some crawling. We don't have to be stuck in one position. Let yourself get a little bit breathless. Feel all of your tissue ranges. Move and crawl. Let yourself explore. One of the problems is, as we age, we forget to spend time down on the ground, maybe unless we drop something. Stand back up and pause. We want to be able to get up and down from the floor until our very last breath. Allow yourself to come down. Walk yourself forward. Stand back up. Observe what's shifting for you as you crawl and move and rise, climb. We want to be able to swim, climb, run, walk, play, whatever it is that we need to be able to do to experience the full range of our life. Let it be remembered through movement. Come to kneeling. Sit back on your heels. Close your eyes. Come into your breath. Feel your heartbeat, your aliveness. Remember the power of movement from connecting with the earth, the sky, your inner body, your outer body. Allow the idea that you have to get a perfect sequence where you have to have all of these things in order to be complete in your movement. That we can move for 20-ish minutes with full range through our joints, through our spine, awaken our brain, awaken our senses, come back to the place within where we go, oh yeah, I remember all of myself, back, front, sides, internal, external. So this practice hopefully will help you to remember the entirety of your being. So you can stay here, you can lie on your back, however you'd like to close your movement. But just remember, take your hand somewhere on your body or on the earth. Take a moment to connect. We all belong here. Remember that movement is a direct pathway back to our survival, our sense of being, our sense of aliveness, our sense of connection. And if we can't move our bodies, we're not able to be great helpers or healers in this world. So may we move for ourselves and for more than just ourselves. Allow yourself to rest.